1, 2, 3.
Why?
Oh, we're starting again?
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
you
well,
can introduce us.
Oh, okay.
Because you interrupted.
What? Fucking fine.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay. So, welcome to another episode of the Circus Podcast. You are with Supreme Leader Min.
Hello.
You are with Sultana Jis. And it is me, Zar Inwar. The reason that we chose these names is, I don't know,
Because I'm Korean, right? And you just want to be racist.
Besides the point.
Well, I mean, it's part of the point today,
Yeah.
which is I had this thought while I was showering, and I was keen to discuss with you guys, and gals, and non-binary pals.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you. I'm taking a page out of your book. Do we think that we've become more racist with the rise of the internet? You know, social media, digital communications. Has the world, has society become more or less racist?
I mean, I can say that even without social media, I think Min's pretty racist.
Wait, but social media didn't help me to become less racist.
Did it?
No.
So we just say it's about the same?
Yeah, pretty much about the same. Who cares?
But the thing is, I guess maybe the first part of this question is, what do we know about racism prior to the internet? For me, pretty much I'm, born straight into the internet, right? I'm pretty sure I interacted with the internet before I understood what racism was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I've already known racism with internet in the context. Right?
Yeah.
So what did racism look like prior to the internet?
Me and the colonizers.
What?
Students. Okay. So I think backtracking, I think what Jess is trying to say is that racism started as a method for us to understand the others. Those are people who are not in our group. And that is just pure understanding. That will start with the stereotypes, because we want to see what our differences are. It's like when we meet who's similar to us, but we still talk about, oh, you're taller, or you're this, your personality is that. As we like to do this, we did that to the people who just came across in their little tiny boats,
Right.
and went there, and it was like, who the fuck are you? And
Right.
it's our way to understand it. But as the time goes, that creates a conflict. Oh, my way is this. Your way is that. You're telling me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Bitch, fuck off. And then you go into fights.
Yeah.
So, in the beginning, race was purely about just differentiating people differently, right?
Yeah.
I am from this island and
Yeah.
you're not from this island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am from, I don't know, the jungle and you're from the islands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and so because those are ways of classifying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Imagine-
those just classification for differences.
And imagine alien coming down right now.
Yeah.
What would we call them?
Alien, because
Alien.
Yeah. That would be different races,
Human
right?
and non-human, right?
Yeah.
Alien and non-alien.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Right.
start like that.
So just start, and
And then we start to see how they act.
right,
Okay.
and then came the conflict
I
about.
guess it's also like, you're not an animal that we can hunt and eat. You look like me, but you're not me. So
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
pattern of thinking that I would think about if I meet something that I didn't know, right?
Mm.
Like, you look similar,
Mm-hmm.
but you're different.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
okay.
if it was an animal, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a fish that's swimming in the sea.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you're not like any other animal that I've met.
Yeah, you look like human. You are capable of language and speaking and thinking. It looks like.
Yeah.
But where the fuck did you come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look so different. Like, what the hell is this?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in this very early days of the idea of race and racism forming, it sounds like there is no like good or bad associated with it. It's just
No.
it's just a functional thing of
Yeah.
they're not the same as me.
Humans
Yeah.
love to categorize.
Yeah.
That's what humans' favorite thing to do.
Is this very dangerous or is it very not dangerous?
Is men in the bucket of racist or not racist? We're categorizing right now. Right, and then, because I think when we think about racism today, it's quite like there is a good and a bad associated with it. And is that where you were going with the whole conflict thing?
starts, yes.
Right.
I mean, yeah, conflict. So how do I explain conflict? It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We started the classic one is the religious war. Christian and Islamic people, they hate each other because they're just like, oh, there's a Maria was a thing. No, Maria was not a thing, and they kill off each other.
Yeah.
That starts like that, and also becomes like
Yeah.
a problem in like the Second World War, where the Japan and America fought. So the Japanese were put inside the concentration camp, and there will be Japanese hunting licenses to hunt Japanese in America, and it's just because that's race is not just race itself as a conflict, but it's that power struggle beyond those races where countries are in war with each other, or countries like America. America is a good example for racism because they're fucking racist as fuck. Anyway, like with the black people right now, there is the conflict of economics.
Yeah. So pretty much, like, I feel like everything boils down to two parties who disagree upon a certain thing, right? It's either a power struggle, or they can't like, hey, you're not treating me right. Like, no, we're treating you the way that we want you to be treated, So it's pretty much.
I think
it's conflict
less personal than that, but yeah.
So I guess when was race weaponized? Right, because like initially it's just a function, right? It's just like this is efficient, this is effective, this is how we understand, right? But at some point, if you're going to attach good and bad and bring in conflict, at some point it's sort of almost been. It's used as a tool to divide. Like I guess it's always been used as a tool to divide. Right?
Propaganda.
There's categorizing, but like when did it become associated with like different races?
When the resources become sacred.
Sacred, yeah.
No, not so sacred.
Scarce.
Scarce. Yeah, sorry, scarce. When the resource is scarce and you can't have everything and you have to fight for it, you use those political agenda as race as your weapon. Like it doesn't have to be a big situation; it can be a small situation as well. But I guess that's how, for me, how I see the conflict as a start.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to talk about like the Dutch and Indonesians, right? Like Indonesia is such a like wealthy country in terms of they have their gold, like all of their like plants kind of grew. Like we got most of our tea from the Dutch, but obviously it didn't grow that well there, so they brought it here and then like, ooh, great, now you can go to Bali and see all those fields. But besides the point, they were fighting because they saw how valuable the land was. So they wanted it to be theirs, and they didn't deem like the Indonesians, I guess, as on par with them. So that's why they think instead of liaising and be like, hey, why don't I give you like some of my men, and then I'll give you some of my, you give me some of this, like trade and barter. I'm just gonna like, all mine, and you work for me.
So do you think it's a part of like humanizing others to feel comfortable to enslave or kill in the conquest of scarce resources?
I still think it's like a disagreement between parties. I still think it's that. Like they can't agree to something. If they did create like a good agreement, right, and a good system was like put in place, then great. But then there's a lot of barriers, like language barrier. There is your like culture again, like what you're used to and stuff like that. That's why that's how I boil it down, is like racism came because you can't both agree. Like if you both compromise, you both lose because you're not getting 100% of what you want. You're just getting 50-50.
Interesting, because I thought about it actually, because I have a similar opinion, but your one starts from the fact that everybody starts with agreement. My one actually starts from everybody starts with conflict. Yeah, so my one's just like, when two new people that you never know each other meet, right, they are cautious of each other. Because they don't know what they can do to each other. So they all usually starts with conflict. And then if both people find each other like to their interest, too good to their interest, like, oh, that person, looks pretty like nice to hang out, or that country looks pretty reasonable to deal with, then like I think it's better if we just deal with them friendly. I think then there's agreement, but I think normally, pew pew, you're not mine. You're not me.
I think you think back on the day, right? Like in the modern world, there are there's like the World Trade Organization, there's the International Criminal. There are like certain cross jurisdiction, I guess like intermediaries that help facilitate like these sort of accounts. But like back in the day, did the Dutch and the Indonesians have something like that that like would like promote like a sort of like discussion first, like, arrangement? Or is it just, like when said, like...
Well, I don't think we went straight into war, right? Because, well, I mean, man, I haven't reviewed history in so long, but isn't that why there was like the Silk Road?
Yeah,
And
so
all that kind of stuff?
Dutch was actually very welcomed in Asia
Mm.
because what they did differently to other European countries was literally Spain was the first one to explore the world and went to India, and then they just fucking fire cannons at them to get them what they want.
Yeah.
And then Dutch came being like, no, fuck off, what the hell is wrong with you? We're just gonna trade because they're a small country with
Yeah.
not really much weapons, so they just did economics.
Yeah.
And then countries were like, fuck yeah, let's go deal with Dutch. That's how Dutch became rich. So some countries were more aggressive than the other.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at, no offense, but look at Thailand, right? Thailand's the only country that I know of that has never been colonized, and that's because they're like, oh, you know, let's buddy, I'll give you the route as long as you don't disturb our people. And they made it so easy for like the other colonizers to colonize the other people that they didn't get colonized themselves. So they did, in that way, reach that agreement, correct? Like,
yeah, agreement, yeah.
both.
And right now, I guess in a way, what Edward was saying with the World Trade Organizations and like the World Health Organization, they're more like intermediaries after all the conflict happened in the past, right? Because there's like conflict first. Oh shit! Now it's better if we just stay peaceful. Then they become peaceful. Oh well, it goes all the way from New Zealand, but haha, funny. Anyway.
So yeah, prior to the digital age, how racist were things? Because if we're going to discuss how we become more or less racist, we need to establish what the prior was.
I think there's a lot of factors, but let's say if we focus on like let's say 2000 before social media,
Sure.
I think people were a lot more fucking racist. Like, let's think about it this way: like America, even at the time, was not having a great time.
No,
I think America was not having a great time. Germany was more racist.
So what about in Asia?
Man, Asians hate each other.
Asians fucking hate each other and
Yeah.
other people. I mean, you don't wanna be black people in Korea. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Black people, you don't want to be black in Korea.
You don't wanna be black in China as well.
I don't think you want to be. I think the lighter skinned you are, regardless of where you are in the world, the more higher upper you're looked at. Like even like, because in Asia they have like those whitening skin creams.
So the question is, has people became more racist with the advancement of social media?
I think that it's the same.
Okay.
I
Yep.
think that people nowadays can have a well-informed decision and choose which side they're on just because there's vast amount of information anywhere, and if you want to search for the ideologies of different schools of thought, you can. And then based on what you believe, you can say like, yeah, yes, yeah, no, but I feel like it's the same.
So it stayed same.
It's the same.
Okay, let's talk about content a little bit more. What's Edward's thought? What's your opinion at the start?
I think there is definitely more extremism, so that people, like those that are really racist have become even more racist. I think for the majority, though, I think people have become less racist because of exposure to, I guess, many different cultures. But I also feel slightly unrelated to the internet. There is a big social movement about diversity and inclusion, which is like causing people to adopt less racist people, I guess.
So it means people are less racist.
Yes. Most people are less racist, but the people that the really racist are more racist.
But overall less.
Overall less.
Okay. Yeah, overall less for me as well.
Yeah. I also feel like, let's say like people who are racist, right, and consume this racism, have been now in societies, there's this kind of umbrella where it says like, oh, if you're outwardly racist, you are in the wrong. So PC culture.
Yeah, PC culture kicked in.
So that's why people can't really forwardly express that, yeah, I'm a fucking racist. Which, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
Because of that, that's why when we say like there is less racism, I feel like
Oh.
people show it less, which makes you deem like it's less, but it might still be there. That's why I said no, because it's a bell curve, it's statistics.
For me, I think what happened over the time was that the bell curve stayed same proportionally, but it moved to less racism with this help of social media.
I think GS makes a really good point though. Like, can you really tell? And so, like, is this observable?
Ooh.
We can only see people in a public or a work setting,
Mm.
right? And I think the current social movement is like PC-ness, is like diversity and inclusion, is like, and I think it's these days in particular, it's very difficult to hold a contra opinion because, like, of, you know, like, what is it, like, is it like social judgment, like, you know, like the whole like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing, right? Like, what is it called? Like, social media is the jury or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, social media is the judge, jury, and execution. So if you have a contra opinion, you just get like cancelled. Even if your opinion is valid, even if your opinion is respectful, and you just want to play devil's advocate and ensure that there is a balanced conversation around it, right? Like, it's harder to have a contrary opinion these days.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, does that mean that we are seeing like bias within like what we're discussing right now? Like, more people will behave in a less racist way because, like, that is just the way that things are moving, but still think differently? Or, like, is there no difference there? Like, you know, if people behave that way, they also think that way.
No, but like, if we focus on the topic of racism, how can we assess beyond that PC-ness that whether racism has decreased or stayed the same? I think we became less racist because it's similar to veganism, where social media, another really good thing about social media, what it's done is that it gave us more empathy. We get to have a peek of someone else's life. Like, yes, of course, there's, you know, like, social media and we just look at different, like, opinions, whatever, but we got understanding of more of other people's lives beyond our people who are similar to us. Like, but that goes exactly the same for animals as well. We finally understood, and we can really see with graphic pictures and audios that how factory farming really works. Hence, there's a movement for less cruelty with animals. They didn't talk about shit before because we didn't know. And I think social media became that tool where we can see more and empathize more, and it's the same way. So, like, I myself, Korean, can look at someone Indian living in India and I can see how the daily lives is. Of course, there's selected media and then we only see what we really want to see. But still, it's that gauge in their lives, and then we get to see more, and we look at them as human beings living every day beyond the fact that he's an Indian person. So, I think bridging us that gap, I think it helps us to shift definitely more to less racist sides. And yes, there's still extremist people. Yes, there's still, you know, and I'm racist myself. Like, you know, like, that's like, we cannot be not racist. So, but I think it helps us to look at people. Differences beyond their races.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because, like, the heart of that argument relies on the fact that, like, through exposure to media of different cultures, you build an understanding of like other people's cultures.
Yeah, you don't need to try to understand. You just understand. You just see.
So just like through, it's like a passive thing. Like, just by seeing.
It's not even an active seeing. It's just seeing.
It changes it.
I guess in a way that's how we as like humanity can have these healthy discussions, agreeing and disagreeing with each other, because we understand that, hey, there's not just one lens of looking at things. There's multiple different lenses. Which social media has thankfully showed us.
That's one of the few good things about social media. So, so that's my argument. But what do you guys think?
The interesting thing about your argument is like that I'm not 100% sold on anymore. Is, yeah, like just by seeing more media do you become less racist? The reason that I say that is, like, I've come to realize that my worldview, like, I've come to develop an understanding of how to understand worldviews, right? So first by understanding my own worldview, I can now understand what other people's worldviews look like, right? And I've come to understand that, like, holy shit, like, I thought I was someone that was pretty open, but, like, until now, like, with this newfound understanding of how to see worldviews, I'm like, holy shit, okay, I can tell how different my worldviews and other people's worldviews are. But even then, like, for me to get on board with someone else's worldviews, I feel like it takes a lot of conversation, active work to understand, to really try to, like, take it on board. So, based on that experience, like, I'm not necessarily convinced that just by seeing more diverse imagery and media, it makes you less racist, because, like, why do you care? You know?
No, what I'm not trying to say that people become empathetic, that's why they become racist, like, less racist itself.
Right.
It's not about active understanding that it becomes less racist. It's about just the exposure. And so let's talk about what's a problem. What's a core of racism? Is that we don't see them as human beings, individuals, one by one. We see them as just a part of a group media, and then we just categorize them into others, and we just be like, yep, that's just what it is. They're just those humans, you know, like, like, Asians good at math. They're just good at math. You know, that's what racism essentially is, right? And then taking action on that, being like, let's have different normal distribution for Asians for math scores, and everybody all the race. That's racism essentially, right?
Yeah.
But what social media has shown is not just to, like, really handhold them and to really show what Asians' life is. It helps us to look us beyond Asian.
So pretty much, you're trying to say that social media is humanizing
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
people.
Shows us more than just who Asians are. We study for this. Like, we put hours into this, and there's a pressure from our family, from, like, social construction, whatever it is. We live in this thing, so we are just more than just. We didn't succeed because we're just Asians in math scores. We studied more. We put a lot more hours. That's why we succeeded, because there was such a high expectation around us. But that helps us to understand. It's not just Asian, so they're just less racist about this, because they know, it also involves work. And this is not just one category of math scores, but you know, it's every different little things, right?
Talking about math scores, I remember this, like, looking at this meme. It's like, finally, the U.S. has won against.
I saw that.
They're all Asian, and I'm like,
Yeah.
the Chinese beating the Chinese.
Yeah.
But the fact that they categorize them as, like, Americans means, like, you know, that we are, like, I guess, in a way,
more
less
accommodating to
racist.
what American is, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I kind of get your.
Only when you win, you're one of us.
America, fuck yeah.
So there's another way of understanding what you're saying, Min, is, like, it's actually breaking down stereotypes.
In some ways, yeah,
Like-
breaking down different. Yeah.
Because
That's a big part of it.
So, because actually now that you think about it, I'm like, maybe I do see that in my own life. Like, when I was younger and we were growing up, very much, like, stereotypes was, like, you're good at music, you're good at math. But now that I'm older, I don't know if it's, like, the people that I talk to are different, or maybe that ideas have actually shifted, but, like, now, when I think what people associate with being Asian isn't just good at math, and people also think, like, Diwali, ABGs, Chinese New Year, like, K-pop, like, Japanese beauty, like, anime, K-drama, right, so.
Culture.
And we got
Good
this knowledge
food.
without really trying to be
food.
like, trying to study about them, right? We just got this knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just got to be more aware of these.
Yeah.
And so it's more understanding and less. This is
More knowing, less understanding if they're
more
if they're-
knowing, more
yeah.
more awareness, more,
Yeah.
and so it becomes less
Yes,
us versus them.
Yeah.
As in, it feels closer to you, like it's more
Exactly.
familiar. It's
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
What do you mean by less understanding? Like more awareness, but less understanding.
So I mean like less understanding is like less of what Edward means by understanding. So but like more understanding, of course, more knowledge, more understanding. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like in a not in like a you have to actively go out.
No, you don't
try
need to
hard.
study them though.
Like you don't need to be like I have a whole degree in Japanese culture. Like it's more just like you just know.
Yeah, like Parasite, like the movie.
Yeah.
We didn't really watch it to be like, hey, let's study about Korean social structure.
Yeah.
So we watch this. No, we did. We
Like
just
Squid
watched
Game
it.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. But we just naturally understand. We just seen.
But I guess in a way, like these kind of like movies, culture, it's something that we don't have to kind of search into and to understand because it's also happening to us, right? And we're just like, oh shit, they're actually the same as me. And I guess that what makes it humanizing and realizing that it's not us or them, it's like us.
And I think before social media, there was movies. I think that really changes perception as well. Because watching movies help you to make you feel like you're that main character.
Yes.
And that really shaped everything. Because you watch, like, let's say like Asians watching those white people movies, and they felt like they were just one of them. And during watching those movies, they were going through the experiences and could overcome this issue. And wow, they're American, like American dream, whatever. That it even let them see it through that lens, right? And I think those help down to break down racism. And they don't do it to break it down to racism. And we don't make this movie to break down racism. But more exposure to even just how they live, or what would you make decision if you were in their shoes? That empathizing, that even showing that, I think really helps with racism.
Should I save my dog or should I just let it die?
Let it die! No, don't kill the dogs. Like in America, you can kill humans and nobody cares, but if you kill dogs, fuck, that's like not okay.
Dogs' lives matter.
No, have you seen that? Cause like
John Wick.
Oh wow, no, not John Wick, no. Anyway,
Yeah.
the meme was that people care about more about dogs dying than kids dying.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a lot of school shootings and not a lot of pound shootings.
But anyway, so where were we?
So that's interesting. What? So you said like talk about movies. Like we don't make this movie to stop racism.
No, we do not.
No.
We make movies to make money.
Yup.
We make movies
Well,
to also
for arts
show
people, no, they make it to be artistic. They want to show some part of the world.
So like let's take the most recent like Shang-Chi, right?
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so you're saying that like race has nothing to do with it, and as like the producers, the movie studios.
Okay, well that's different. They are influenced by racism.
I have so many thoughts on like the film industry because I genuinely think, right? Asia has done Asian movies better. For example, Parasite. It's in Korean, for fuck's sake. And it's like worldly renowned, right? Like they can make their own fucking great movies, but only until like the Western society says, oh my gosh, this is great, that everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is great. I think that's kind of fun. There's so many local movies that I genuinely love that is unheard of by the Western society, but because they're currently dominating the world, then we kind of have to, in a way, maneuver throughout their standards. Oh, but this is another can of worms.
Yeah,
but
but
coming
back to
so
Edward's
you know,
point.
those like producers,
Yeah.
those movie companies.
So
like it's purely about making money.
see, it's not always about purely making money. Even
Right.
capitalist country people still have heart and passion. Like, and yes, they were influenced to show them more exposure to the Asian community, into the like American, movie scenes. But at the end of the day, if you don't pay to watch that, you're kind of fucked. And they're not really being social justice, being like, hey, we're a charity, let's make a movie to get rid of racism. I mean, yeah, they can come from a good heart, but that's a completely different thing, right? Movie is not just about single product. It's like architect. movie and architecture is kind of the same thing. Yeah, you can have a good meaning behind it, but at the end of the day, you need money.
Yeah.
I guess that also makes sense. Like if the government of Idwar had like $10 million and I was like, here, Mr. Producer Guy, you need to go off and make something that promotes the culture of, you know, the Idwarian nation.
Yeah.
Like that just becomes like propaganda, and I think people.
That's China.
Yeah, I know. But I was like, hey, I'm gonna create my own country here for this example. But actually, that wouldn't be received well internationally, right? Like people would be able to see through the like.
No, yeah, exactly.
Right, and so.
Are you talking about the dictator?
What?
The plot of the dictator?
What's the plot of the dictator?
You don't know the story? I'll show you later.
Okay.
But it's Sacha
No.
Baron Cohen stuff.
Yeah, no, I've seen the dictator, but I was like, I'm not sure I see the connection behind the dictator. What part of the?
You mean the interview,
The interview.
the movie with Kim Jong Un, right? Or the dictator with the era, with the.
I guess
the
they're
Arab.
both kind of like talking about the same
Yeah,
thing.
they're
but-
doing the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah, they're commenting about like capitalism and they're like, oh, we're gonna be like a great capitalist society now.
Oh,
but
so-
then they like,
Do you remember the speech of the speech scene at the very last with the dictator?
yeah.
You know,
that
every
one.
problem is just like a democracy, dictatorship, same thing.
Yeah.
So you see, this was when I was still just an engineer instead of hanging out with art students. I went to watch the dictator and I was like, ha ha, funny. He's like, doing silly shit. Meanwhile, these two are already like, oh yeah, fucking a democracy. Ha ha. Which is why this doesn't click. Cause I'm like, yeah, I watched the dictator. It was funny. But what's the connection here?
The connection is he was commenting on like, oh yeah, you know.
Why do you hate the dictatorship? You know, we can kill people who we want, we can racially profile people and, you know, like, say you get economically if you're a dictator. Like, we can have a shitty healthcare and we just let the people die if they're poor. Who cares if you know,
Right,
you can do all these great things as dictator.
It's actually satire.
Yeah. Exactly.
Man, you're gonna watch it again with a new lens.
Yeah.
The new artistic social sciences lens. But yeah, like, I was like, yeah, so actually, you know, like, maybe it doesn't make sense to, like Min said earlier, is just like, give money to people that are passionate about telling a great story that's fun for people, that people would actually pay money to turn up to go watch and just let.
But you're right in some ways, Edward. The thing is, no one is politically free. As it means that we're part of all social product. We're all part of the product of the culture, and we are the culture as well as much as we consume culture. So we all always have political agenda, no matter who makes the movie or who watches them. But saying that, racism is affected by the movies, as well as racism affects the kind of movies we make. That's also very true. But what I wanted to focus on was that the movies themselves, what the good things what they've done is that they reduce racism and they push us to more or less racist side. And yes, there are movies which made out of, you know, like because of they want to reduce racism, but that's a different story, different topic. And Crazy Rich Asians, if you think about the effects what it's done, right? Like yes, we can argue that there is a lot better Asian princess, like, you know, like that rich guy, poor woman story. We can do better, but the good thing is it gave so much bigger exposure of what kind of lives of those people who lives of Asia. It exposed them to what's even Singapore is to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Mahjong scene?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The only saving grace of the movie is the mahjong scene. You can battle me because it's ironic because like Will really loves the movie. He's like, oh, it's championing for like the Asians in the Western society, and I'm like, cool, sorry, bro.
It is. I think so.
Yeah, I feel like, but then my other friend also said something along the lines of, because we've been fed so much garbage, like any other like regular food that we get, we'll just chomp it up and eat it because it's way better than the trash that we've been given. That makes sense.
What?
No.
No, so
that's-
for example,
Hold on, what?
okay, so for example, like all you've known is like plain rice, right?
Yeah, okay.
And
Plain
then,
rice is pretty good though.
yeah, just
You go, if you ever watched this.
and then someday someone's like, hey, actually you can make fried egg and put it on top, and you're like, wow, this is the most amazing meal ever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Even though like that's still pretty basic. That's like pretty basic. So.
And how does it go with the
So
media?
for example, like the media, so any like Asian, I guess like these movies are created for Asians who live in a Western society because
Yeah,
as an
definitely.
Asia that grew up in Asia, I like grew up with like so many like good movies and like I'm like, oh yeah, white Western movies are great, Asian movies are great, but like I've got so many of them that I'm like, no, this is a shit movie because there's so many movies with better stories.
Okay,
Does that
I
make
see.
sense?
Yeah. No, that's not fair. You're not the target audience.
I am not.
Like they created that just for the Western, Western Asians,
I know.
It's
But I guess like with the social media, shouldn't you like also watch movies that are from Asia? Because there's actually so many good ones, like Wong Kar-wai's and Mood for Love.
there's no should. Sorry, she's more art students than me. You watch whatever you want, but we'll give you more Asian stuff.
Yeah, I guess like bottom line is there is no gatekeeping to any information anymore. So feel free to consume what you want to consume.
Except Area 51.
What?
There's a gatekeeping to the information there.
Gatekeeping.
Fucking hell.
I don't know. Don't
Well,
you
not
know if
anymore.
there's alien?
Not anymore.
Really?
Apparently,
Not
like
anymore.
there's like classified information that was leaked on Discord by this.
I
Person's
completely
son.
understand if there was.
It was like,
Had to
"Nah,
be Discord.
you're wrong," and then like sends the dad's like confidential file.
It happens to a lot of the war games.
I know.
Because the war games, like they're really realistic.
Yeah.
And when they got the detail wrong, apparently they'll like share the like classified information as part of the Reddit discussion. And the game companies are like, can you fucking stop?
Yeah. This is a game.
Yeah.
There is no propaganda. No aliens.
Oh, right. I was like, wait, what's going on? I was like, oh, I get it now.
I think it's Arma 3.
Right,
does this,
right.
yeah, 'cause
those,
it's everything's
those
so
people that are
realistic.
really passionate about the military
Yeah.
and really want to see a game that's really realistic to real life.
Yeah.
You've got this minute detail wrong. Actually, this AK-47 has this design. Here's the blueprint.
No, that happens so many times on the internet, like a lot of like a US defense, like a military confidential information has been leaked because of that game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny.
But anyway, back to the topic.
Anyway, yes.
So we've concluded pretty much that racism. Are we all on the same page now that we are less racist as a society
Yes.
now with the internet?
We're less forward racist.
We're less forward racists. What does that mean?
As in like we don't, even for racists, we don't say like, oh yeah, I hate black people. Because we're more like, oh no, like they're cool. You know. Back
So
to-
Jess thinks it's still same.
I think it's
Oh,
still
so
the
yeah.
you still
same.
think it's the same.
Yeah. So people are kind of hiding behind their screens like, oh yeah, I'm
Right.
racist.
So
It's
okay.
more about the PC culture that
PC
really
culture.
like,
Right,
removed out of
yeah.
the surface, but you think it's exactly stayed in
I
the
think
PC.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah, right. So you go beyond what we can see, and so you believe that the distribution is but like.
I believe does not mean it's the truth.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I'm gonna opt to believe that we've become less racist.
Okay.
Yeah.
For what reasons? You gotta explain.
Fair. Just purely personal bias. No evidence at all. Yeah, my own internal algorithm is saying I think for me, in my definition of good, like, I guess treating people differently based on race is just personally not what I want to do. I want to see everyone as equal, or that statement's also a little bit like not quite right, but it's like everyone should have the same. Fuck, I feel like I can't say anything these days without serious because like every sentence is like potentially like loaded with something.
Okay, we won't comment. How about that? Like bite your tongue for once.
Okay, fine. I'll bite my tongue.
But people should be like treated the same, I guess, as maybe the way to put it. And so yeah.
So yes, people have become less racist because of social media. Because of
Yes.
the vast amount of information.
Yeah.
Yes? what do you?
Yeah,
So what are your thoughts?
Sorry, I was holding my tongue because I didn't have to comment, right? But anyway, sorry. What I think is stayed exactly the same is that I think we became less racist. Like, it's not saying that we're no longer racist, but I think a lot of people, as the more media that we've seen, the more how other people's lives is not too different to actually to ours. It's just different situations. I think we embody that value more, and not to say we're completely cleansed out of this as well. Our racism, like, nobody can safely say they're not racist. Everybody's racist. But I think we became less racist because we embodied those values more and more every day through social media, especially in the liberal society.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing about this conversation is like, I would really want to see what the numbers say, like
Same.
if it's even possible.
To even
Like,
measure. How would you measure this?
If it's even possible to measure, if it's even possible to know. Because I think for me is like, these days I like anything I say is just an opinion. But I really want to know what the facts might look like. And I don't even know if this is something that we can factually find a truth on.
I don't think it was hard to. How would you measure this?
How do you
Safely,
measure
because
this?
the thing is that Jess's point is correct, right? And in the way that we see less of it, but doesn't mean it's gone. And how would you measure it comfortably that it's not just out of surface? Like, we're not tracking like the AI words, how many racist words were used, but how do we really know what's in our heart? How can we really measure that? That will be the really big challenge, I believe.
And for that, 1, 2, 3.